right. Well, if everybody is ready, we will go ahead and jump back into the Epics of Irindal. This is session number 25. Last time, our party had tried to sustain themselves after an intense battle in the base of the Verdant Embrace. A current portion of the Silver Talons Imperial Guard of the Jamila dynasty had descended upon the valley, accusing the tribes of this region as well as the tribes as a whole in the eastern mesas of attacking the city not but 24 hours before. Among these attackers was none other than what could clearly be seen as Trash's friend and mentor, Catherine Catherine Alenlead. Sorry, my brain was just like, nope, I'm done. All that heat just melted a portion of my brain, apparently. Unsure of what was transpiring outside of this small portion of the continent, our party had decided to accompany Gamil Gesh back towards Tafar in order to supply themselves temporarily in a brief pass through the city with a contact he had known in the recent past within the city of Tafar before heading towards the western deserts in the Fidi Dunes, trying to find the source of what you all imagined is most likely a party interested in some type of conflict between the eastern tribes and the dynasty as a whole. A potential entity pulling the strings of this strange situation. After a brief respite in the deserts on the western edge of the mesas, you found yourselves attacked by strange, dangerous creatures in the loose sands of the deserts on the western edge of the mesas. Not the large purple worms that roam these regions, but nonetheless extremely dangerous land shark-like creatures known as bullets. You were able to subdue 3 of these creatures, no less, before taking the rest of your much-needed rest just as the sun was beginning to rise on the eastern horizon over the seas, and coming over the remainder of that day. It took you almost to nightfall before you reached the eastern edge of Tafar, just as nightfall began to descend. With a bit of magic and well-placed stealth, you were able to find yourself into the less populated, more seedy back end of town, where the bars were less reputable, but the liquors flowed no less abundantly. Within this bar, Gamil struck up conversation with the bartender as you all observed a number of things, some of the patrons that didn't seem to be out of sorts for this sort of crowd, a wide mixture of different peoples in this area. But behind the bar, you noticed some movement and a strange conversation with the bartender themselves. After a brief conversation and a bit of palm loosening via some well-placed coins from Gamil, you all found yourselves descending down into the cellars, into long hallways below this bar. Strange for such a small establishment. Deep in this dark, cellar-like area, You descended deeper down these hallways, perhaps 50, 60, 100 feet before turning towards a wooden door, following the scent of cinnamon and some disturbed dust and dirt in this otherwise fairly unoccupied area, before eventually knocking at the door, looking for a reddish-brown-haired man, a halfling man by the name of Heinrich. After entering this small, unassuming door, you all heard a series of clicks. Clicks most of you didn't recognize except for Trash. The clicks of the hammers of multiple firearms now directed at you as the light slowly began to burn now from a small oil lantern in the small hands of a halfling. As you look on in this group, you see about 24 men and women wearing a mixture of different leathers and work attire and all manner of cobbled together clothing in this long hallway, the ceiling of which made of rock and supported by wood beams, almost like a mining tunnel, more so than a cellar. From what you can see in the brief lantern light, you see a number of tables, casks, and even a bar to one side, a makeshift bar at that, but a secondary bar below the main establishment. Behind the bar, you see a warforged man with a group of 4 arms and a single pair of legs, cleaning a number of glasses and preparing drinks, seemingly ignoring the fact that every patron in this room has now turned their attention on you all. In addition, turning their weapons upon you, as the halfling speaks yet again. Oh, it's nice to see who's been following me. And it's good to see you again, Camille, even though last time we didn't quite see eye to eye. But it seems you've brought a bit of company with you this time. Bit odd that you're back in the city after you were cast out for failures to protect a certain someone. But nevertheless, I'm not too fond of being followed, back then or now. So why don't you get that tongue a-wagging and tell me what you all are doing here, before we decide to fill you up full of plenty of more holes. As he says this, what are you all doing?
I'm doing my best to still be a cat and rub Dazes' leg and look inconspicuous.
Forgot you were a cat.
Yep. Friendly reminder.
As well. Yep.
I'm gonna respond and say, I think we have plenty enough holes already.
Could have fooled me with the fact that you've been following around a strange lead from a defunct captain of the guard. But nonetheless, I don't like being followed. So tell me what you're doing here. Don't be lying. I tend to fancy myself a bit of an information broker, so I'm a little familiar with who you might be. So why don't you fill in the gaps for me?
I was gonna kind of let Gamil take the lead on this one.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I was going to ask about if he knew of just the shady, kind of head empty victims in the city. But I'll let Gamil kind of take the lead.
Nick, we are here because we need supplies. I know we haven't always been in direct... Well, we've been often in opposition with each other, but this is of urgent matter. It involves exactly what you just spoke of. I would not have come back here if it wasn't of the utmost importance. I am risking my very life. I still believe that whatever happened to the prince was no accident. That doesn't excuse my failures, but I need to make this right and protect those from whatever is happening out in the wider world. Oh, isn't that cute? But, I fail to see how that involves any of us. And you kind of hear a group of chuckles around the room, kind of following in chorus. We're not exactly the helping type. Just purely out of the best of our hearts. That to be said, my understanding is that there was a bit of a go at the capital not but a night ago, followed by quite a bit of military force, if I heard so. Traveling out to the eastern deserts, nonetheless, out in the mesas. They said there was three large battalions going out via all that, that fancy casting thingies and gates and stuff, is what I was told. They said most of the first two came back with a bit of wounds here and there, a few captives in tow, but they said the third group didn't show back up at all. Not a single one. And they said them fancy mages, they didn't show up either. But rumor has it that them feathered folk out in the mesas had a bit of assistance from some strange individuals that didn't quite fit in with that group. Rumor has it those folks might even have a bounty on their heads to be certain here pretty soon. I don't have the full details, but a strange little group here seems to fit right along with that, doesn't it? Pissing off the dynasty. That's sour business right there, friend. Well, for you anyway, but for us, boys, could mean, some free drinks for the next few months with a healthy payday for all. And you hear that everybody kind of cheer and clap and as they continue to look at you all. So tell me, why shouldn't we go turning you in? We could make this real easy.
If you're an informations broker, then you should know that there's been something unsettling happening in your city, no? Some kind of unexplained, maybe string of crimes. Could look like a serial killer with a voracious appetite of a certain body part or something. If you know everything about the city, then you know something is happening. And you might not care, but I promise you that if you turn us in, that this will absolutely affect your business, because the entire city will be in danger, and your life, let alone your business, will be in peril.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion or intimidation check, your choice.
Probably not much of an intimidator, but let me take a look at my sheet. I think I'm more of a persuasion person.
While this is happening, I'm like looking over everybody in the room to see just this, what kind of weapons I got, what we're looking at. Should things break out into a fight?
Sure.
Yeah, they're both just +2.
Okay.
So I rolled a 13. I'll say persuasion just for flavor, but
Sure.
it was a 15 total.
Okay. Floof, go ahead and give me a perception check to see what you see with the cat's perception.
Okay.
Do they have like he mentioned a bounty earlier, which I think he was talking about in the future, maybe bounty not now, but do they have like bounties posted in this area? Like on the walls or anything like that?
Just at a brief glance with your passive perception, you do see that there is a board with a handful of bounties. It's kind of hard to see what's on there, but there's like a small group of posters, job listings, things of that nature. If you want to give me a perception check to see if you see anything in more detail, you can go ahead and do that.
Shall do that.
Okay. Well, we'll come to you that in a sec, Floof.
Okay.
But let me get back to Trash since you were the first to ask, and then we'll just go around in order. Damn, high rolls to start tonight.
Woo.
I like the higher rolls later.
You're a perceptive one, albeit a bit strange. I've never seen a whatever you are. But as I said, I am an information broker. A good one, too. So, like Mama always said, if you're good at something, don't do it for free. So, what's that information worth to you? And perhaps if we like what you're offering, maybe we'll hold off a bit on the whole turning you in thing.
I mean, we can give you coin if that's. I assume that's what you're looking for.
You hear him kind of chuckle, and you kind of hear the others in the room chuckle. Yes, lassie, that's exactly what we're looking for. I thought I spilled it out of a bit, but, yeah. We don't operate for free.
I mean, I can, toss him coin. I don't know how much I have. I think I had,
How much are you offering?
What's a reasonable amount to toss to these people?
He didn't give an exact amount.
It's like an aside to my traveling party. What's the fair amount to toss to these people?
I might know, actually. Can I roll,
you can give me an insight check.
Yeah.
While you're doing that...
I might have somewhat of an idea.
Right. Go ahead and give me an insight check while you're doing that. Floof, you see that most of these people are heavily armed.
Okay.
They have crossbows. Right now, a lot of them have flintlock pistols in their hands, not unlike your companion's weapon. But a lot of them are single-shot weapons, not like the revolving mechanism that your companion Trash uses. Like, less sophisticated as her weapon, or the one that you saw Billet using, but they have a similar stink to them. You smell the smell of saltpeter and sulfur, the same sort of compounds you smell whenever Trash fires her weapon.
Okay. And am I able to pinpoint, while I'm smelling the room out, the cinnamon?
Yeah, without a doubt, it's coming directly from Heinrich.
Okay.
Whatever some sort of cologne or some sort of scented, soap or something on him, that's where that smell was coming from.
Okay.
Dazes, as far as your perception check on the board behind the bar, you can see that there are a number of bounties. The first one that really draws your attention is the one that matches the one that you saw Trash grab off the bounty board outside, passing through Tafar, which has a detailed image of Catherine Alenlead on it, with a significant bounty on it. At just the glance that you got, it's approximately 8,000 gold.
Ooh, whoa.
Yikes.
You also see a number of requests for questionable services, like not quite like murder, but usually to steal back something or to sabotage somebody or rough somebody up, coercion, those sorts of things that operate in a severely gray area or borderline or just downright illegal. But you don't see anything that like shows murder, but definitely along the lines of like thugs, thieves, swords for hire, a handful of like extermination requests, things of that nature. It seems to be some sort of like organized bounty board, in addition to like legit bounties, but like an organized sort of request board of various, just roughly strewn about and pinned up with various tacks and all sorts of things. Knives, arrowheads, things like that are just stuck into this wooden board.
All right.
As far as your insight check to what they're requesting, you can definitely tell they're looking for something more significant. Like, a small amount of gold ain't gonna cut it in this regard, because you read their eyes, they're thinking they've got to cover the costs of their, to make this worthwhile, otherwise we're just gonna turn them in. Because it'd be a lot easier.
Makes sense.
I don't know how much gold I have, because I like half wrote it in my notes and then I half tracked it on Beyond. So I feel like I have.
I think we split everything up 3 ways, and I have like barely a little under 500, so I don't think we have more than 1,500 collectively.
Okay. I
have 900.
Oh.
Okay.
But
I feel like I
think I just
spent
haven't
it on
spent as
stuff
much.
because I had to buy it for like weapon materials and things like that. So I feel like I probably have a little less coinage than y'all. I don't know if I could gracefully, or like a small pouch, I guess, of like, I feel like I gotta get them at least, we gotta get on the table somehow. So right. I know this seems like a lot, but
you initially see, as you all are discussing this matter, you see Gamil unlace the satchel at his side, and you hear a decent amount of coins jingling, and he sets it on the table in front of Heinrich.
I'm gonna see what Heinrich says in response to that.
This is all I have right now. This is 250 gold. If my companions were to match this amount for a sum of 500 for now, and then after we discuss business, and by business I mean purchasing supplies from your colleagues and vendors here, would that be enough to at least appease you temporarily? As he looks to you all to see if you agree with this statement.
Yeah, I would be down to contribute.
I'll nod.
And also I'll just say, if all we are trying to do is buy your acknowledgement that you understand that there is something strange happening in your city and you don't know who's the cause of it. We know. And I share that information willingly because I think it's important that you know who or what is behind these string of attacks. It's all related. And I think, and I hope, shrewd businessman as you are, that you will take us up on our offer. Whereas the other option, while you may be able to turn us in for a bounty, I promise you that it'll come at a greater cost and probably more a hassle than it's worth.
Go ahead and give me another persuasion check.
Ugh, not great. 10?
Sometimes a bit of information isn't... How should I say this? It's, sometimes information's worth its weight in gold. Make it 750 and then we'll talk.
I can throw down 250.
Yeah, because what is...
Gamil has
I'll-
put down 250, so right now you're at 500, if that's the case.
Okay. Yeah. And then I just have to kind of go through my numbers, but I'm sure I have at least 250.
Okay. Well, if that's okay with you all, we'll go ahead and discuss amongst yourselves for a second what you want to do.
Yeah.
Meow.
I would like to jump on the table. And I'm still trying to... I don't want anyone to know I'm not a cat.
Give me,
Be on the gold.
give me a deception check, Floof.
Alright.
I mean, you use your normal your persuasion on this one, because it's your mental stat here, so it's your persuasion.
Oop.
You look over as Heinrich sets the lantern down, and you see some more lanterns kind of pop up around the ceiling now, as this whole cavern kind of comes into view now for those of you without dark vision. But as he's setting it down, you hear you feel and hear the presence of the hammerlock on his pistol click back even further, and it points directly at you.
I'll hiss at the gun.
You know, I heard you were traveling around with a bit of a shapeshifter. Might this be that person? Because you know,
Yeah.
the thing about kitty cats, they tend to not come down here because of all the dampness coming through. So it's a bit strange to see one just wandering around accompanying you all. I doubt this is your pet. So, why don't you do us all a favor and drop the act?
I'll take back my form, but I want to stay on the table and in some sort of attempt to
Okay.
kind of intimidate, and I don't know.
As you drop your wild shape and suddenly this large form of Floof just grows out of this tiny feline. Floof, go ahead and give me a dexterity saving throw as you feel the table begin to buckle under your weight.
That gold's gonna go everywhere.
You suddenly, within seconds of transforming back, the table just and just breaks in the middle. The center bar just snapping under your weight. And you fall prone as suddenly you see like 5 or 6 of these crossbows and firearms all pointed at you. You take 3 points of bludgeoning damage as you fall flat on your back in this pile of broken lumber.
I'll get up and say sorry and try to make the table stand up in the middle where I broke it.
It's fine. It's not the finest furniture in the world, but try not to break any more, won't you? I don't want to... I am a small man. I don't want to be carrying any of this down here. Anyway, go stand by your companions here and try to stay off the furniture. And while you're down here, try to stay in your form.
I'll join my companions.
Very well. Boys, you can pack them up. Get back to your libations. You all. And he's pointing to some of the other. Clean this up, why don't you? And you can kind of hear this grumbling back and forth for some of the guys as they begin to start scooping up the broken pieces of the table. Gents! First rounds on our new companions here. And you just hear this uproarious cheer as he grabs the bag of coinage that you all had collected on the table. And then you hear behind the bar the four-armed bartender Warforged begin to slowly begin pouring out drinks from quite a few taps that are lined along the wall. And at this point, with all the lanterns lit up, you can see there are just stacks of kegs with various tubing running from those kegs directly into a very makeshift wall of spouts that you see, like all four arms simultaneously just moving glasses and mugs and whatever containers that these folks have all just hobbled together. There doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason. It's just whatever was available to be used as a tankard at this point. But once everything's kind of swept up from the broken table, another one is kind of along the ground and brought beside you all. All right, be having a seat with you. Boys, bring us over a round or two. We got some business to discuss, but I am far too sober to be discussing business. So let's have a bit of a drink first, so we get to know these individuals. And you can tell now that the silence that was, deafening and oppressive when you first is even more ruckus than the bar that was upstairs. As you see some of individuals start beginning to pull out mandolins and harps and things of that nature, as you just hear this cacophony of not the greatest music in the world, but just general, like, the closest thing to, like, a bar overtone as you can get, as people are just passing around drinks and grabbing the ones they had before, holstering their weapons as they sit back where they were. You see some of the tables, people are playing games of chance, cards, dice. Some of the other tables, you see people discussing things with large maps sprawled out over tables and stuff like that. It is a strange collection of individuals of all walks of life. You see some folks that are in heavier armor, some that are not in armor at all, some have light, leathers here and there, some carrying massive battle axes, others, with just a handful of daggers spread out all over the places. And some of them, you see that, like Heinrich, you don't really see a whole lot of weapons, but given the perception check that you had earlier, Floof, you definitely saw that there were some weapons hidden on all these people. They may show a handful, but they probably have more hidden in places you can't see.
Okay.
But with that in mind, he urges you all to take a seat.
All right.
I'll sit and hope to not break the furniture.
They grab you a large metal stool. It's a bit small and it looks a bit strange, but it definitely holds up under your weight as opposed to some of the more rickety-looking wooden stools that everyone else seem to be using.
Nice.
It's kind of like one of those Fisher-Price kind of children's chairs given your large frame. It
Funny.
definitely is a bit undersized. But you can see they set in front of you a handful of drinks, and there's a few more sitting in the table as like kind of a community grouping, and just a mixture of like dirty glasses and tankards and things of that nature. Some of them smell like beer, some of them smell like some really old mead. Others, you're not quite sure, but they definitely have a copious amount of booze in them.
As they should.
All right, then. Now that the pleasantries are in order, seems like you've been running into some of these disappearances we've been seeing lately. I am aware of the situation, but why don't you tell me what you've been seeing, and we'll see where our collective minds meet, if you will.
Found head with no brain.
Well, some would call that a bit of a hindrance. Others might say that a brain's not really necessary, but based on what you've been telling me, it's not exactly figurative, but a full empty skull. Am I right?
Like someone hollowed out the brain and...
Like somebody scooped it out like a gourd.
Exactly.
I've heard the tales. And I've seen a couple. Nasty business they are.
And are you aware of the person or creature that is responsible for this particular affliction, or...
I've heard the stories. I'm no historian, mind you, but I've heard the stories, and I have heard ancient tale of a brain-eating thing of the distant past. Sounds like wives' tales for the most part, but had I not seen it for my own eyes, I might have dismissed it as such.
I don't know that I would call myself a historian, but I assure you that I do a lot of reading at my age, and I have acquired a lot of knowledge of this world. A lot of what pertains to perhaps what some would consider archaic, arcane in nature, and suffice to say, this is my first time I've ever witnessed actual evidence of these myself, but I can assure you that this is not an old wives' tale, and we have caught a creature that is usually very good at covering its tracks, but
the rumor has it these brains weren't they weren't pulled out by any mythical tool or scalpel or shovel even. That they broke out of it like an egg and walked away. Am I right?
yes.
Aye.
And then this is more to DM. They're called mind devourers. Is that it?
As far as what you were told by in your
Or what I would remember
conversations
of
with
them or
Parathava, you would know these, what she described them as, are intellect devourers.
Intellect devour. Sorry. Yeah. So then I guess I would use that word. I'd be like, yes, intellect devours.
It's nasty business, that is. So.
And the problem is, this is the work of the ones that we have caught. But if you do not catch them, they live inside their hosts. And you would never know, talking to someone, that they had actually already died.
Scary business, that is. Being walked around like a human meat puppet.
Exactly.
Makes you a bit suspicious of everyone around you.
As you should be, especially if they have infiltrated positions of power. And this is part where I kind of have to look at Gamil and say that I'm so sorry to say, but in all the chaos, when we had arrived to you, we never really had a proper chance to sit down and let you know that one of the reasons we were sent to you is to let you know that we had found members of your previous group had already been infiltrated by the intellect devourers.
Are you referring to the individuals you fought off in the Iron Plateau?
Yeah, because that would be part of his, like...
No, those were
his regiment,
deserting
right?
members of the Talons.
Oh, they were the deserting members. Sorry, not loyal members of the Talons.
These are not the Talons. You don't know what this group is. I mean, you're welcome to ask, but, you know, they really haven't disclosed or divulged a whole lot about themselves. You just see this loose collective of thieves and scoundrels and, you know, swords for hire in this basement bar. No, this is not the Silver Talons.
Okay, I think I got it confused because I remember we were in a house and we fought.
You fought similar
but they
soldiers.
were the deserting soldiers. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That was
So I'll just
Parathava
say
looking
that-
for deserting soldiers that suddenly turned up in the Iron Plateau.
Got you. Okay. My bad.
No, you're good.
So at least I'll describe that we had caught soldiers that had deserted that were afflicted by intellect devourers.
That's a bit concerning, to say the least. Well, I can say that we've had run-ins here and there. These intellect devourers, you call them. These four-legged brain thingies. Yeah, we found one of our own not too long ago. That had his skull hollowed out like a gourd. Empty as an old sack of potatoes. After that, we've been pretty careful about who comes and goes. Hence the bit of sour reception you got for us into the cellars here. But perhaps I should well, before we talk any further, I need to know a bit about you here. So why don't we start with a bit of a drink here and you tell me your names? And then we'll go back and forth. You ask a question, I ask a question. And if things get a bit too deep, then perhaps a bit of gold might loosen me tongue a bit more. But as I said before, sometimes a bit of information is more valuable than any coin. So why don't we start with yourself here, lassie? You're a bit of an odd one. I've never seen a transparent creature before. In fact, the only time I've seen anything like you was in the bottom of a well, dissolving one of my boys from back in the day. Watched him fall down and get sucked in, and next thing I know, he was nothing but a floating pile of bones, and his sword and his metal bit of his armor, everything else turned into a bit of a dust in this slimy creature. I hope you won't be doing that here, will you?
No, if I touch you, you will not be dissolved.
That is good to know.
I wish I could tell you more of myself, but unfortunately, I am on a journey of self-discovery, and I don't really know much of my own origins, if I'm being honest, but what I can tell you is that I had been training, and I won't use Catherine's name because I know she's implicated in all of this, so I want to be more guarded, but I'll just say I was under the mentorship of someone from the Magisterium Arcanum, and I have been trying to understand the kind of innate arcane abilities I possess, and then I kind of just for show, I kind of change my rat appearance. I morph into a more human-like person. I stretch my body up a little bit taller than it normally is, make myself a bit more squat, and I go back to my preferred form, and I'm like, this is just what I know of, what I can do and my capabilities, but I don't really know who I am or how I came to be, but I'm studying. I'm trying to learn.
Well, ain't that interesting? Perhaps, well, if you don't know too much about yourself, perhaps just start with a name.
Trash.
Like the stuff we throw in the dustbin?
Yep.
Alright, to each their own.
That's where I was born and raised.
Fair
And
enough.
smell like.
Sometimes you just got to own it, is what they say. How about you, big man? Before you break any more of my furniture. What's your name and what's your story?
My name Floof, raised by Bert, Ellenwald Forest.
You deep woods folk. I will say you smell a bit like a bear.
I squinted in.
It's not a bad thing. It smells better than some of these guys.
My eyes dart sideways to trash for just a brief moment. Raised in woods, know nature, and earth powers me.
So you're one of them tree-hugging folk. Haven't seen many of those in many years. It's a rare sight these days.
I don't hug trees.
And you, my
Scratch back, though.
fine blue fellow, what's your story?
I'm Dazes. A while back, I was employed on a mercenary vessel, but that time has come and gone. Well, our ship was in an accident and we lost a lot that day. I nearly lost my life in more ways than one. And with the help of a very beloved individual, I was able to gain it back.
That vessel you're talking about, that wouldn't happen to have been the Dragon's Folly, would it?
It would.
No, I recognize the face. You're the friend of that big one. Domus. Oh my god, how's that old orca doing?
He's doing very well. I saw him not too long ago.
I heard he went straight and now he's been pounding metal.
Thankfully, yes. We both turned it around, I guess you could say.
He was quite the old scoundrel back in the day. Could drink like a fish, too.
Yeah, as I recall, he could.
Speaking of that Dragon's Folly, I heard there was rumor of another survivor besides the two of you. I've been hearing word of a young lady wandering around the eastern part of the continent. Occasionally showing up, causing a bit of havoc, and then disappearing just as she came. Wouldn't happen to know who she is, would you? Some of my boys had a bit of a row with her not too long back. One of them, I don't know how he's gonna do it. Lost an arm, and another gent lost an eye. Gave him a real thrashing, they did.
As I said, a lot of us upon the Dragon's Folly have changed quite a bit.
Fair enough.
But,
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, the lady of which you speak is no longer the lady that I once knew.
I'm sorry to hear that, but much like a keg of beer, women tend to change over time. What you see on the surface ain't always the same flavor as what you get to the bottom. So you just gotta enjoy it while you can. And you kind of hear a and you all kind of look over as Gamil kind of looks at Heinrich. Heinrich, I don't mean to cut off your pleasantries, but we do need to talk about supplies and perhaps discuss specific information. We are looking to find whatever it is that is causing these disappearances and these possessions of people, these creatures. Something is controlling these things. I doubt that they are acting. I doubt they are doing this of their individual wills. I had a bit of a discussion about this, the boys and I, not too long ago. Sounds like somebody's operating a bit too far below the table, even for my liking. Well, let's start with that. We've noticed that recently there's been a more significant disappearance from some of the miners coming back and forth from the western deserts and the dunes. They'll disappear for days, weeks at a time, and then suddenly show up, as if they've been drunk the whole damn time. Don't remember a damn thing. They just go back to their lives. But it seemed odd, so we looked about as best we can, trying to figure out what was going on, so we tailed one of them. That's when we found the, as you described it, them hollow heads. There was nothing left. We just found a body in the desert. It was all dried up. Probably would have ended up worm food were we not as close as we were. But head was empty as a cracked eggshell. Just after breakfast. Seems like whatever these things are, they find a use, find a person they can control, things they can exploit, and then move on. But more and more we're seeing these acute disappearances of some of these miners. And then they suddenly reappear in one of the bars of the city after we've been asked to go and track them down. We turn them back into their loved ones and they go about their lives. But, not all of them stick around for very long. And for the most part, we just assumed for a while that, they were trying to get away from their lives, families. You know, disappear, make themselves scarce. But, it seemed too many after a while. 1 or 2 became 1 or 2 dozen over the past year or 2. Then it started happening to them soldiers. Occasionally somebody a bit more important, we'd show a request on the board over there. They'd ask to find somebody. And just before we were hot in the tail, they'd show back up again. Same sort of acute disappearances. So my question is, where are they scampering off to in that time they disappear? I think that's the golden question right there, isn't it?
Where they go missing from? Mostly.
I mean, they're miners. They're going out into the dunes. It's one of the most dangerous jobs you can do here on the continent. Digging up all that shiny blue rock that all them fancy magic folk like. That they use to make all them fancy lanterns and vehicles and do all the fancy magic things, you know.
Lunarium.
That one, yeah, that.
Do you know if the Lunarium trade has been affected by these kind of string of disappearances, or?
I mean, if you ask the men of the dynasty, they tell you no, of course not. But if you ask the smugglers, the men whose eyes and ears are closer to the ground, there's definitely been an affected diminishment of supply. And I imagine if we can track that down, or one of them there missing folk before they suddenly turn back up, you might be finding what you're looking for. At this point, you see Gamil kind of... Nick. The day the Crown Prince lost his life, we were on a observance mission into one of these mines. I think this mine in particular was known to be a quite rich source of Lunarium. I believe that if we can go to this mine again, I might be able to pinpoint. And if we follow long enough, we may be able to follow one of these miners or find one. Do you have someone that could identify one of these people? Aye, I see what you're putting down. Perhaps a bit of a stakeout? Watching for one of the missing folk? Oi! Ursuline! And you see he calls out to the Warforged that's moving these glasses around and pouring drinks. Yes, boss? Got me that there most recent request. You know, the one that came in just the other day about the missing miner? The that there human fellow. The yeah, the younger one. Yeah, that one. Right away, sir. You watch as he brings over, and one of the arms, as he turns, you see that the waist, like the front legs, like the feet, continue to stay pointed at the wall where the taps are at, but the waist turns like it's completely loose from the rest of the body. Like there's no spine like in the traditional humanoid sense, and it just rotates as one of the arm kind of go-go gadget stretches out a little bit further than it should as he snatches the paper off the deal and then passes it to one of his other hands that then does the same and stretches almost like 15 feet out before Heinrich grabs it from him. And then the arm just turns back around, and that momentum then turns him back towards the taps where he goes back to his duties.
I'm staring at him now.
It's very unique. You've seen a handful of these automatons. This one isn't unlike the sentient automatons that you saw in Callista. It definitely seems to have more than just a beast of burden attitude. It definitely has a sentience and observance to it, not unlike a few of the ones that you ran into in Callista, and of course Billet that you spoke to. But this one seems a bit more focused on their duties at this time. They seem to, from what you can observe at this distance, seems to take a great amount of pleasure in this sort of rapid bartending. And even though the bar that they seem to be tending is not much more than like barrels and kegs with, you know, loose boards stacked on top of them. All right. Right. Middle-aged man, about is 30 moons old. Daughter's blonde hair. Scar above the forehead on the right side. Medium build. Otherwise, fairly tame description. Went disappearing about 5 days prior. I bet if we can find this one, we might have a good idea of where they're coming from. As he passes the slip of paper over to you all. And you can see the same sort of description. There's no picture or drawing, just a as detailed a description as they could get from the requesting person. My guess is if you can find that one, you might have a lead to find where you're going.
How long ago did this one come in?
That one came in not but a day and a half ago, but they said the person disappeared about five nights ago. They went out for drinks with some friends, and the friends returned without him. They thought, oh, he's just drunk and in a gutter somewhere where they never found him. So we've been searching about the city. Client seems, right distraught, as she should be. But we never found a body. And even in conditions of the river, we usually find some sign of foul play, if something had happened, or somebody was stupid. The usual stuff. Anybody who's been in and around the bottom of a glass of too much to drink knows what I'm talking about. But in this case, they just seem to poof into the ether. So my guess is, you find this one, you might be finding where you need to go. At that same time that you all are discussing this, you see the head of this automaton bartender turn again and look at you all, like completely turning, 180 degrees like an owl, looking back at you all.
Sir, would you also like to tell them that there was that interesting fellow with the crow-like mask? Perhaps that one would know some information about this situation as well.
No, my eyes perk up a little.
You seem to, know a bit about this here, masked fellow. Care to share?
Strange, powerful man. Strong magic. Must have answers. Vosh. Lead.
Don't know anything called a Vash. But if you're talking about that masked person, he was here not 2 nights ago.
Where'd he go?
I didn't quite say, and I didn't ask. He paid good money asking about these missing people as well. And about your lady friend that's been roaming about the eastern part of the continent there, Dazes.
Interesting.
He touch anything here? I want to find scent.
You can certainly try. I mean, we don't do a great job of cleaning this place. Orson over there does his best, but it's an old wine cellar. It's gonna smell like mold, regardless of what you do. But you're welcome to try. We was sitting at that table just over there, and he points to one just about 10 feet away.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over there and smell that table.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception, or better yet, give me perception or investigation. Perception will be a little bit higher. Investigation will be a little bit lower in this instance.
Okay.
And this is a pretty high DC.
I figured. I'll still go with perception.
Okay.
Oh.
It smells like you go to smell, and it is completely masked by the scent of stomach bile, and you get the immediate sense that you're just smelling old vomit.
Okay.
As you almost throw up with the stink of it, as you turn your head and like, it smells vile.
Okay. I'll shake my head, suggesting I was not able to find anything close to a sense matching what I smelled back in that cave once upon a time.
I figured as much. It's hard to, the boys get a bit rowdy sometimes, and, yeah, we aren't the best at cleaning things up. Well, clean up after ourselves, anyway.
I'm upset now.
But I can share that, that person you're looking for. It seems like the new High Inquisitor of the church has been looking for him as well. There's someone you don't want to be crossing, whatever you do. Quite an angry fucker, that one.
Does Crowman come here often?
No, that was the first time I had ever met him.
Friend or foe, I wonder.
Doesn't matter to me as long as they pay. Which reminds me, I've been answering a lot of questions, so I think it's time that I ask one of my own. The reason I bring up that that angry Inquisitor, he seems pretty dead set on weeding out as many of them mage folk as he can that's not associated with the magistrate. Seems real hell-bent on it. In addition to this crow-faced individual. It was, curious. Do you know who that might be? Have you had any run-ins with these Inquisitors recently? I'd like to know who comes and goes through this place as much as possible. So, having somebody who's been tracked by the church seems a bit off-putting.
I cautiously look at trash again.
Oh, tell you right off the bat, I've had my run-ins with them. It's never been pleasant. And we encountered them a handful of times on our travels.
Good to know. These, yeah, that's a group you just don't want to be fucking around with. They tend to,
Absolutely not.
They tend to cuff them first and then ask questions later.
Yes. And basically target anybody indiscriminately. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter if you're a child.
Right. Which reminds me. I also heard a bit of a rumor, and feel free to elaborate, but would you be happen to know about a group called the Hand of Faith? Seems some of their boys had a bit of a go with a small group of individuals not but a few nights ago. A small rat-like person was described, as well as quite a big fellow, and another one that moved really quick. Care to elaborate?
I'm actually kind of forgetting that.
There was a small misunderstanding. They were the ones that were hired, I think, to do a hit on Lady Garmal.
Ah, so you got in the way of somebody's contract. Ah, nasty business that is. Just a word to the wise. Don't get involved with them.
Hey, we did not mean to. We were not looking to poach a bounty by any means.
We'll say they tend to hold a grudge, so you might want to keep one eye open when you're sleeping from now on.
Just what we need.
Because we hear among the handymen. And you see as he reaches his hands up, and you hear just loud cheers and tankards raise up as he says this. We may be assholes and scoundrels and liars and thieves, but one thing we don't
I'm
touch.
visibly nodding every time he mentions a different category.
We take that as a compliment, mind you. But one thing we don't be touching, and that's the gift of life we won't be stealing. Now, the Hand of Faith, that's a different story. Those are professional killers. And right good ones, a lot of them. Oh, if I was you, I'd be keeping my head down as much as I can. They tend to, well, you might want to stay clear of the city of Grossmauer. They tend to focus around there. Rumor has it that they've gotten in bed with the Lord Baron of the city. And those who don't fall in line, well, they get to see the repercussions and the full weight of the Lord Baron Dracon. Floof. As you hear that name, it rings an immediate bell of recognition in your mind. You've only heard it once before. But as you hear the name, it reverberates in your mind as the ancient memory that you saw in the Cistern of Reminiscence now repeats slowly in your mind as that name, Dracon, strikes a strong recognition.
I'll repeat his name, like, you know, like it suddenly popped in my head as you described. And he, above the table, he was one of the suspicious things in the cave, talking to the one guy.
What you remember in the memory, you were in some sort of forest, field, briar. You're not quite certain. It was dark.
Okay.
And from your perspective, the perspective of what you can only imagine was someone quite small. You couldn't move. You were wrapped in, swathed in some sort of damp fabric.
Oh, right. Okay.
You don't recognize any sort of face. You just recognize the name.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm trying to go to those notes so I could get everything in from the cistern. I hear the words. Okay, so he's the one that left me to the wolves. I'll just say very evil man.
Never met him personally, but I've no reason to go to Grossmauer. I've heard that it's a bit of an uptight place. A place where the guards, you could shove a piece of coal up their ass and you'd have a diamond in a week. But
Grossmauer, where?
oh, it's up just south of the Vanarud Mountains, on the northern edge of the Alliance territories. Well on your way to the Dwarven Dominion. Heinrich, now that we've exchanged information a bit back and forth, we require supplies. You were a capable smuggler in a past time. I hope that is still the case. Aye. Boys, line it up. We've got some individuals with some coin burning a hole in their pocket. And suddenly you see a number of individuals, some of the ones towards the outer edge, get up from their seats. A few of them kneeling down to the floorboards. Some of the stone tiles you see on the ground that are cracked and worn. Some of them are loose, and you can see that the grout is either intentionally been removed or has broken up over time as they pull some of these tiles. And you see underneath there's just hidden caches of things wrapped in leathers and all sorts of crates and things of that nature. It just seems to come out of every hidden orifice you can see in this space. There's just weapons and potions and strange looking items, armors. It is one of the wildest sights as it just keeps going. As just more and more of these hidden compartments are kind of pulled out in this rapid makeshift black market that they begin spreading across the tables. As they're unloading some of this stuff, you can see some of the guys are already beginning to discuss and make deals for some of this new inventory, as you hear kind of shuffled back and forth in small talk and discussion. You hear some of the tables, wagers being bet on, upcoming dice rolls, in exchange for some of the latest goods retrieved, quote unquote. But yes, Burns, I can't say that I have much coin remaining, but I will purchase a handful of potions that I can muster the remaining coinage I have on me. But if you need anything else, now would be the time. But if there's something specific that you are looking for, you can see that there are crates and crates of different potions of various viscosities and colors and things of that nature. Quite a variety. You haven't seen this much variety since you were looking at the floating markets not but a few days before. But even then, you didn't see even this kind of variety of just randomness of different items. But in the matter of minutes, this bar that was once more full of people and drink on all these tables has now become one of the most rapid black market deals you've ever seen.
I'm keeping an eye out for things that appear natural, I guess, maybe a nice shield or spear or anything that looks like it might amplify my connection with nature.
Give me an Arcana check, Floof.
Okay. Can't be worse than a 1.
Okay. Not great, but not bad. As you're kind of wandering around, just kind of floating your hand over the edge of the table and looking around through these various items, you notice on one of the tables there's a unique looking item. It is a curved metal blade, almost looking like a farm implement, with rather ornately carved wooden handle at it. Not like the most beautiful of such items, but nevertheless, it catches your attention and kind of resonates as your hand gently passes over it. You feel something more than the sum of its parts. And you notice that the carvings in the handle are not in common. They're not in Elvish. They're not in Dwarven. They're not in Draconic. They are Druidic runes. This is the first time you've seen Druidic runes in years outside of the Aelin Vault.
Could I reach to pick it up and read the runes, or is stuff under guard?
I mean, somebody's watching you as you
Okay.
inspect this, but you can certainly you can look at one of the gentlemen that was one of the ones that unrolled this sort of linen wrap that had all these weapons in it and began spreading them out on the table.
That there's a special one right there. Put it off a corpse that we found out at the Vorpal Sea. Body wasn't in great shape, but that weapon, despite how decomposed that thing was, that weapon stayed right clean, it did. So I said to myself...
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I said to myself, that's gotta be special right there.
Am I able to read the words or the carvings and what it might say, or is that irrelevant?
Yeah, well, you can definitely read it. It's in Druidic.
Yeah, what does it say?
The runes are very ancient, but roughly they translate to by the grace of moonlight.
I'll whisper that to myself. And it's just say how much.
Well, that is that's an interesting thought. It's not the fanciest weapon. It's a bit low range, but there's something special about it. I could part with it for 400 gold.
I look around for Dazes to see if he's nearby. Are you?
I'm sure I'm around you.
And I'm looking for some guidance and if this is a good deal, or because Floof has not attempted a negotiation. I know money now, but I don't know the concept of negotiation. So you have about 2 seconds to jump in before I just hand him the money.
I mean, I guess I'll walk over. I'm not very good at persuasion either, though, but...
I don't think any of us are really, right?
Probably not.
I don't think so. I'm negative in it, but I'll whisper to you. I'll say, Druid, weapon, wants 400. Good deal?
I'll say, well, I guess I'll whisper that we'll see if we can get the price down a bit. And I'll say to the gentleman, I'll say something along the lines of, with how many drinks me and my compatriots have provided you all with upon our entry, don't you think it would be maybe a bit prudent to give a bit of a discount.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check.
Okay.
Friend, my mouth's really, really dry. You're gonna have to buy a bit more drinks than that.
I stare at Dazes while I handed 400 gold to the man.
I was about to buy him a literal physical drink and put it up to his mouth and say, "How about now?"
I appreciate it, friend, but a couple copper off the price still rounds up to 400.
Hey, you ain't got a round. I like 99 cents better than the clean dollar.
I'm afraid
That was
not,
a
friend.
joke. All right. Well, Floof, do you have 400 gold?
I do.
Okay.
Ooh,
I counted out slowly.
Okay.
I used all my. Used all my usual do.
Give me 1 second.
It seems in character for me to fail any type of negotiation, so it's fine.
Floof, you pick up the weapon after divvying up the coins. And as you hold it closely in your hand, you begin to feel a synergistic sort of magic well up from this weapon. As he said, and based on the description he gave, given that this weapon was likely submerged in salt water, it should have rotted. And yet it looks, although not the finest of craftsmanship, it doesn't show any wear. The edge is still sharp. You feel some sort of resonance from it. You can go ahead and add a Moonsicle +1 to your inventory.
That's a cool name.
Okay. I'll follow Dazes aimlessly while I kind of continue to look and inspect my new weapon.
I believe it's attunement, but double check on that one. I believe it's attunement required.
Okay.
But it does have some magical properties I will let you look at.
Okay.
And you can go ahead and take a closer look at it as you...
Okay, I'll do that.
we're going to... Trash or Dazes, is there anything that you're particularly looking for, or...
I have a question.
Okay.
How does wearing rings work in this game? Like, can I wear as many rings as I have fingers?
Pretty much.
Technically?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, you could wear more than one on each finger, as long... You can only have 3 items attuned unless you have some other thing that allows you to have more attunement. But, yeah, you can have as many rings as you want, but they, magic, attunement slots are limited.
Gotcha, okay. I think I still have 2, because I don't think the Vicious Quarterstaff is attunement. I think just my knuckles are.
Yeah, your knuckles are definitely attunement.
Okay. So I guess I'm just looking for something similar to the knuckles of Durin. Not necessarily like same level, but just another ring of, I don't know, some type of magic or some type of additional firepower, or not even necessarily firepower, just what them rings do.
Gotcha. Go ahead and give me a perception check. As you look over, you do find with your passive perception, you see one of the vendors has a variety of jewelry of different craftsmanships.
Alright.
Okay. upon looking through some of the jewelry, you notice that there's some tarnished old rings. There's some that are a finer make. Nothing really catches your eye, except for one that seems kind of unique in that it has the shape of a normal ring, but the knuckle-facing portion of it has been ground down and, like, finally etched into the shape of a ram's head. Like the curling horns and the narrow V-like face of like a goat or a ram or some sort of small beast of burden.
I guess, can I ask him what he knows about it, if anything?
Oh, you mean that one right there? Well, I've won that off of a gentleman in a game of cards. He couldn't pay his tab at the end of the night, and I said, well, you've got some fancy rings on you there. He was once a prize boxer here in the city. He was a prize boxer. He got knocked out one too many times. He wasn't very good in his latter years. So, he turned to a life of chance, and, well, his luck in the ring and his luck at the table weren't much better. So, that's how I came upon it. But in his prime, I heard he was quite the brutal fighter. He would knock around his opponents quite vigorously.
And am I allowed to, like, inspect it, I guess?
Yeah, he lets you take a look at it.
Okay.
You want to take a closer look? Give me. You're not proficient in Arcana, are you?
Nope.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check. It's going to be kind of high.
Okay.
But yeah, you would kind of need a Arcana proficiency to see anything above the superficial.
Okay.
An 8.
That ain't it.
It looks like a ram's head. It looks like a nice ring. You can see on the inside there's definitely some runes carved into it. You don't know what they say.
Can I try to help Dazes in any way? Or?
Sure. If you want to give me an Arcana or investigation check.
I was about to call you over, to be honest.
Arcana. I got 13 plus 4, 17.
17. You definitely, with your Arcana roll, you can sense there's something innately magical about this item.
Okay.
There's something as you roll this ring across in your hand, and it kind of gently, just barely sinks into your amoeboid-like hand. You definitely feel there's some sort of like repellent force to it. As it sinks down, it's almost like it's repelling against contact with your flesh a little bit as you kind of press it down in reaction to feeling this tingle of innate magic in the item. And you feel like it's like pushing away, almost like two ends of a magnet, trying to push the north ends of two magnets together.
Hmm.
If that piece in particular is interesting to you, I could perhaps let it go for... Well, it's definitely one of the more unique items I have. And given those runes and the fact that it's got some sort of magic about it, it's definitely a bit higher of the cream, if you will. I could let it go for 500 gold.
500 may be a bit steep for me. How about 450?
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check.
Can I just throw a flash of genius on there for him just in case?
Sure.
I'm gonna need it.
Oh, wow, that's pretty
All
good.
right,
And then your flash of genius was what?
It's a +4.
So that's a 21.
Nice.
God damn.
Damn, I should have said 400.
450. I think we could make a deal there. Why not? I don't think anyone here knows or could use anything like this. You've got a deal.
Doing business with you. Make sure to shake their hand. Assuming they have a hand.
Yeah, this is a half elvish man, very slender form, kind of stringy individual wearing some leather armor, and you can see all across like a waist or a chest strap. They just have like almost 24 daggers just all over that. Like there's so many knives on this individual. Like everywhere you turn and look at this person as they turn and move, there's a knife somewhere. And you imagine there's probably even more that you can't see.
Knifed up on a Tuesday.
Yeah, knifed up on a Tuesday. But with that, you can add the Ring of the Ram to your inventory.
Alrighty. I'm poor again.
Woo, we all are.
Yeah.
Who needs money?
We just got robbed.
And last but not least, to Trash, is there anything that you were looking for here?
I would assume no, just because my purse was the lightest of the group.
Right.
And to be fair,
Or if you're looking to sell, you can definitely see that there are individuals, already bartering back and forth, even among the other sellers here, that, there is definitely opportunity to sell as
okay.
well. Just to keep that in mind. So if there's any items you find in your inventory that perhaps you don't really need anymore, there's definitely some attention here.
Yeah, I do technically have. I have a regular crossbow that I've been carrying around this whole time that I don't need to, because I had my other crossbow and now I have my boomstick.
Okay.
I don't think it'll fetch a lot, but oh, I also have an immovable rod. How do we feel about that, gang? Do we want to keep it for?
I think we keep. I actually completely forgot about that. I had some ideas.
Yeah, I forgot about it too.
Completely forgot about them.
Okay, well, no. Keep in mind, we've got it.
Hey, good reminder.
We also have I have a few, like 4 of those charges of those ointment. So if you have any like lesser healing potions, you can consider getting rid of them if you want. Not
I mean, the ointment
necessary,
is
but-
basically similar to healing potions.
Right. So
Yeah, I would just
saying.
have like I don't have any like salves or ointments or potions. It would just I would just be my crossbow, and it's my starter crossbow. I don't imagine it'll fetch a lot, but I can part ways with it.
You see there's a couple of these makeshift vendors that have a number of, bows and, small armaments and hand crossbows, things of that nature. You could certainly discuss parting ways for some coin with what you happen to have with you.
Yeah, I would say, like, unless something catches my eye, I'm probably good. I'm a bit of a pack rat. I like to carry my stuff on me.
Okay.
Yeah, unless I see something of like real note, I think I'm good.
Well, go ahead and give me a perception check to see if anything catches your eye.
So 16?
16. You don't see anything like weapons-wise or armaments or anything like that that catches your eye. You do see that there's a vendor that's got a variety of potions that they're slowly pulling out of this crate. As they're throwing away some broken bottles and things of that nature, you see some of the smaller vials that have survived whatever hastily hasteful job of hiding them. That there's a variety of these different potions, different styles and things of that nature. You see, as they kind of turn towards you, the individual that's there in front of them is has green scales, but they don't seem to be of dragonborn descent. They seem to have more of a smoother scaled reptilian face and form, and a slightly forked tongue. And you can see, like, it's a mixture of, like, pale skin and scale. Not only on their face, but their arms and legs. And they have, like, a very thin snout and nose that doesn't really, like, extend out, but just kind of comes to, like, a slit, like the end of a snake's. You've never met an individual like this, but you get the understanding that they're likely a shit, I forget the name.
Like Yuan-Ti?
Yuan-Ti, thank you. I
Yeah.
forgot the. Yeah, you get the idea that they're of Yuan-Ti descent.
Okay.
And you know from some of your studies that there are groups of Yuan-Ti towards the Ragiru Delta in the southern center of the continent.
I guess I'll just walk over and kind of greet them, just to say hello.
Hello. What can I do for you? Are you interested in selling or buying?
I just taking a look at the nifty potions you are.
Ah, yes. I've got a large supply. Well, what survived anyway. Is there something specific that you're looking for?
Perhaps. Are we good for health potions for the most part?
I have an aversion to health potions, but I have some ways to heal myself, so I'm not particularly interested. You may have to pour one down my throat.
Fair.
Apparently, on top of those 4 charges of that ointment, I also still have 3 potions of healing.
Oh, okay, so you're good.
So, yeah. I mean, that's not for just me. Like, that's for the party. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can ask about just if you have any potions to help with, like, is there anything that we struggle with, like stealth or like night vision, or maybe just like a general strength potion, if you for you. Yeah, maybe it's a potion of sorts that would assist with enhancing abilities, like making perhaps someone stronger or faster. Would you happen to have something of
I
that
can
nature?
certainly do that, yes. I have a potion here that will make you as stout and boisterous and strong for at least a short time as one of the giants.
Does that now, just for me to know, player to DM, does that ever like stack with? So, for example, if like Floof took it, but he had wild shaped, like does that stack onto?
No, it just in this particular instance, it just makes your strength in that particular instance a particular number, and it doesn't go above that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So if you were already stronger than that to begin with, it wouldn't have any
It wouldn't
effect.
do.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't think we're strength fighters, so that might not.
Yeah, I'm a dex spider.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of strength, but I obviously use
You
a lot
also
of magic.
use your druidic magic and stuff too.
Yeah.
I also have some potions that make slinking about a bit easier.
That one might be good.
They're a bit more pricey, but when you need them, you really need them.
That's true. How much would a potion like that cost?
Potion of invisibility? About 120 apiece. But you will be visibly undetectable for 1 hour with each draft. But as long as you don't do anything to alert yourself. So no pesky spell casting or attacking from behind. Otherwise they tend to disappear. Or rather, you reappear.
So you reappear if you do anything to.
Yeah, mechanically speaking, it is a potion of invisibility.
Okay.
So it
So if
lasts
you,
for
like,
1
attack
hour.
or if you do-
Yeah, if you attack a creature or cast a spell, it will.
You're out.
Yeah, it'll drop invisibility. It's the same as casting the invisibility spell. It's just non-concentration, and it lasts for an hour.
Okay.
I also don't have many remaining, but I do have one very special potion. In case moving along one's feet seems a bit trivial, this will let you take to the skies like a bird.
That might be nice. I might be able to join Floof on one of Floof's shapeshift adventures.
Yes.
I prefer the water.
Well, we could both just maybe in the future look like parrots, and then we would just be a weird looking person with 2 parrots.
A pirate with 2 parrots.
Yep, exactly.
Kind of cool.
You're just you 2 parrot Pete. That's
No, I just need 2 peg legs.
Okay. How much would that potion be?
The potion of light is 200 gold.
Alright, back to the invisibility. I'm very poor. So I will take out my OG crossbow, but before, as I'm holding it, I'm gonna tinker with it magically because I still have that.
Okay.
So it's like as I'm like fumbling it for it in the bag, I'm also like magically tinkering with it so that as I present it, I'm like, what happens if I throw in this and it can be imbued with a magical property of my choice, and the thing that I choose for it to do is. Oh, I got it. Okay, it says it can emit an odor or a non-sound, and I would like the sound of it to sound like dozens and dozens of like crossbows being like notched back. So when it's
Okay.
used, it sounds like you're being ambushed by like more than the sum of its parts, if that makes any sense. It's an illusion, but
Okay, so you're casting this. Are you trying to be covert about casting this, or are you just explaining as you're doing this in front of them?
I mean, that's the thing that I'm casting onto it, but I will explain that that's what it sounds like because I want to demonstrate it on the crossbow. Like,
right?
Hey, look,
are you
this
trying to
is
be
what it
covert
does.
about the casting, or are you saying I'm enchanting this item for you?
I'm enchanting the item because it
Okay.
is. I will be.
Okay, so you're not
magically
trying to be
tinkering it.
discreet about it. Okay.
No,
That's what I
because
was- okay.
I will imbue
Sure.
it with this new property. Yeah.
Sure. So they don't know that this is a temporary thing, and you're trying to make them. You're trying to make. Okay.
Have to be temporary, but
Okay.
is perhaps somewhere down the line, if I run out
All right.
of magical tinkering spaces, I may turn it off. But I
Go ahead
I
and
have
give
an
me a
open space right now.
deception check on this one to see if you can fool them with your description of this item.
Okay, so 15. What's my? This is deception. Okay, so 15 plus 5, so 20 total.
Okay.
Ooh, interesting. I've not seen something like this before. I'm not much of a weapons trader, but I do recognize a interesting enchantment when I come across it. Yes. I tell you what. Buy 2 and I'll give you the 3rd one for free. How does that sound?
That's not bad. So was that like 240?
Yes.
This is when I have to call Dazes and Floof over because I'm pretty broke after the negotiations on the table and all that. So, do you think it's worth it to buy 3 invisibility potions for all 3 of us? It'll be 240, and I can personally contribute like 100, I think, because after I would have contributed earlier to the not dying at the hand of Heinrich. I have about.
I'm happy with my purchase and I'm hyper fixated on it. So I'll just hand you my pouch of gold, which has 62 gold in it.
Alright, yeah, I can make up the difference. What is that difference?
So we were at, what was that, like so 62. If I'm like 162, so that's like what roughly, and then 2.
So
you'd be-
240 minus 162.
Yeah.
Okay, so 78 from me. Alright.
Okay.
Do we have a deal?
A deal has been struck, and I will parcel out. So I'll get one.
Excellent.
Everybody gets their own potion, basically.
Excellent doing business with you. Please come again.
As
And
she
now I
picks
am
up
poor. I have no money.
and my job is done.
And this is just potion of invisibility.
Yes. So it's 1 hour of concentration-free invisibility. It will not protect you if some creature has some sort of means of seeing the invisible, or, it doesn't, completely make you immune to being found, but it just stops you from being seen by creatures that cannot detect invisible creatures. So,
Okay.
Works for us.
so that is a
This could be
wide
any-
variety of creatures.
Yeah. This
This can be
could help
immediately
us.
useful.
Yeah, this could really help us. Like, if we need to get into, like really heavily fortified places, even where we're going after could be useful. Either way, I think it's good.
Okay. After your
about
brief
drink?
jaunt around this heavily cluttered area, you can see that this is devolved into more of like a black market swap meet than it is like any type of like legitimate business. And it is a mixture of sales, it is a mixture of arguments, drinking games to try to win, discounts or outright, exchange items, to gambling. It is one of the strangest, like, centers of commerce you've ever seen. For Dazes, not the strangest thing you've seen in a bar. But definitely, you've never seen commerce mixed with gambling, mixed with heavy amounts of alcohol consumption all in the same spot. Just, you've seen them, within a fair distance of each other, but never in, like, all merged into one. It is like somebody merged a swap meet, a black market, and a casino all in one.
A strong mix of debauchery and
money. And then dumped 100 proof alcohol in the mix on top of that.
Yeah.
Right then, it seems like you've perused our wares here and there. Seems our boys took a shine to you. They've got quite the collection over the years. It seems like every time we gather up like this, we find something a bit new. But with that being said, well, I can't have you staying here too long. But we're gonna be parking up and moving to a different location in the morning. You're welcome to partake of the libations while you're here, and in the morning, you better be getting gone. And I, for one, didn't see you. But should we ever cross paths again, you remember old Heimrug Bramblefoot is the one that helped you out. When it comes time to, reciprocate.
And with that,
you don't try to kill us next time.
Troy, as he kind of smiles at you, and you're not quite, you're mostly sure he's kidding, but then there's that like 5% that you're like, maybe he's not.
Mm-hmm.
You're not 100% sure. There's just enough scumminess to his halfling smile that you're not 100% sure. But nevertheless, the night is a long one, and in general, most of the patrons of this sort of drunken night market, black market, tend to fall asleep wherever they fall, or happen to just pass out, as you watch as Gamil didn't do too much shopping, just enough to get the basic essentials of, he bought a small vial of something, and then a handful of small, what look like healing potions, for the most part, but, as you all kind of wrap up your purchasing through the black market, you can see that he goes,
well, first thing in the morning we should be, well, just before dawn, I would assume we need to start heading out. The patrols will start just as the moonlight is beginning to fade and the sun is beginning to rise. Will be a shift change. That will be our best opportunity to exit the city and begin heading west towards the dunes. But for the time being, try to get your rest.
Sounds like a plan.
and you can see he finds just a little corner of one of the walls, removing the swords off of his back and strapping them in front of him. kind of turning his cloak around to the front of him, kind of using it like a covering over himself as he bundles up for as much of a rest as he can get in this strange place, but nevertheless a rest. You all are welcome to do the same, unless there's anything else you want to do this evening.
I would share with Trash and Dazes what I could kind of remember about Lord Dracon or whatever. I'll say like Lord Dracon, think killed Blood Mother. Saw her name in memory. And I'll say wants to find him sometime. I'm not trying to divert the party's thing, but just throwing it out there for them.
Trash and Floof, how do you react to this information? Or Trash and Dazes, sorry.
Adding that name to my list.
Many enemies out there.
Yes. Along with the Hand of Faith now, apparently, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Was this somebody who was? I feel like maybe you explained this earlier, but I kind of forgot. Was this somebody who was seen in like, when we were in the mesas, or not the mesas, but in Ormond Keep when Floof was doing his thing with
Yeah, so basically one of my memories was as an infant, obviously I was being carried by somebody running in like a forest or whatever, and then I don't know how they died, but I saw my mother, my presumed mother. I guess I don't really know for sure, but I think based on feeling, that's what I got out of that. But yeah, she had like black hair and stone skin. It was reaching out to me, and then some guard or another said Lord Dracon, and then a deep voice ordered them to just leave me to the wolves.
Gotcha.
So the assumption is that this person is responsible for the death of my birth mother before leaving me to die in the forest until my mama bear raised me.
Got it. Okay.
And then I'll go to sit by Camille and do a sweep of the bar, I guess if we're still calling it that, and seeing if anyone is looking at us, because I do recognize that Camille is a bit of maybe a target to a lot of these people. So I'm basically going to keep a guard on Camille. We had our little moment of sharing in the desert, so I'm going to watch while he sleeps.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Okay.
You notice a few times that, throughout the evening, it's almost like an unspoken game among these people. You see just back and forth, deep into the evening as the last of the individuals still up and about, still consuming alcohol and trading or gambling or some combination of all three. People bumping into each other, and the average person will mistake as just drunken stumbling and late night inebriation. But you can definitely tell that these people are doing this intentionally, as they kind of You can see a hand slip into a pocket here and there, a knife blade cut, a pocket of coinage here, a few loose fingers, to and fro. A couple people eye you, but immediately turn away as you kind of give them a laser-focused stare as they come closer to you and Gamil and the rest of your group. But it's an interesting sort of game to watch.
Okay.
Of this just back and forth of theft among these individuals. It's almost like this unspoken rule of if you can't protect your things, then they weren't yours to begin with.
All right. I'll say I find amusement in watching, but I do judge everyone's greed and dishonesty amongst a group of what were they called?
The handymen.
Yeah. I silently judge that, even though they claim to be a team, if you will, or a group of whatever.
Based on what you've observed, it is a very loose association at best.
Fair enough. It's like a Costco membership. It's like they're members.
Somewhere
but they're
between
not
a Costco membership and a library
Speedway
card. Yeah, like a library card.
Okay.
Yeah, it basically, if it's not nailed down, it wasn't yours to begin with.
Yeah.
And if you get caught, it's the person who catches you's choice what they choose to do with you.
Okay.
But if you don't get caught, it's one of those things that, if you don't get caught, everything's legal.
Yeah. It's a game, like you said.
Yeah, it has the energy of a game. Some of them you can definitely tell are doing it, to for financial gain. Others are just doing it purely for sport.
Okay.
I do want to ask before I go to bed if I could get a free drink, considering that we bought rounds for everybody.
Well, there's not much left in the tankards. But if you don't mind a bit of the older vintage, I think I can spare one last round for our new guests.
I would appreciate that.
You watch as he pours you 4 shot glasses of some really brackish-looking liquor. And you're pretty sure if anyone lit an open flame near this stuff, it would ignite. It tastes pretty... I mean, it smells pretty bad. You imagine it doesn't taste much better, but you can tell just by the scent of it, it's probably going to do the trick.
Floof smells it and doesn't like that it's not fruity and tasty smelling, and I'll give it to Dazes.
Okay, I guess I'm...
Drink up.
I'm chill after that, though.
As you take the
The other two
drink,
can go to whoever wants them.
as you take that drink and you have the extras that are not consumed by your companions, you see a small hand of a halfling reach up and grab it from you. Hi, I appreciate it, friend. How do you like my vintage? And as you're finishing it, it has an awful aftertaste to it that's somewhat curbed by the taste of cinnamon. It is like somebody tried to make Fireball with 151.
A bit strong for my tastes.
Aye,
Put a hair on your chest, won't it?
Maybe a few.
Hey, glad you like it.
And you see he just downs it and just shakes his head back and forth, almost like to wash his mouth out with it before he, swallows it.
Bro, just drank Listerine.
I think Listerine might have more flavor than this.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, as you all consume the last of your drinks and sit back, relaxing as much as you can as you watch this odd sort of thieves' dance through the remaining wee hours of the morning, as you choose to take a rest before waking up bright and early, before dawn would even break on the horizon. Go ahead and you can take a long rest if you'd like. You're not quite certain what time it is, but when you feel the shake of a scaled hand shake you all to consciousness, but you see Gamil standing over you in this early hour, what feels like not enough sleep, but nevertheless enough that you'll be able to function to most of your abilities. We should get going, friends. You can see all around that about half of the individuals that were here the night before have already left. The other half are either face down in their drinks or are doing their best to try to consume what they can to wash away an awful hangover.
I'm gonna do something weird.
Okay.
I'm gonna firmly but not aggressively grab Dazes' head with one of my hands, and I'm going to almost too aggressively, but with purpose, smell his ear. I'm trying to pinpoint the scent of a brain and like what maybe that smells like if I'm able to, because of these intellect devourers and missing brains. I want to try and hone a skill to determine if somebody has a brain in their head or not. Obviously trash is
Okay.
Plasmoid, so that's not gonna work. And I don't know Gamil like that, so I'm not gonna warn Dazes of this.
Process of elimination. I'm the only one
Yeah.
left, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do you allow this to happen, Dazes, or are you gonna contest this?
I trust him enough
Okay.
to allow him to do this, but I certainly have questions.
Okay. As Floof basically submerges his nose in your ear, go ahead and give me... Can't believe I'm having to come up with a roll for this right now. I don't even know where to start on this one. Oh my god, what would this be? Give me either a nature, a medicine, or survival check. Your choice.
Okay. Let me think about this.
This isn't really perception, and it's not really investigation in the normal sense. I feel like this is more learning the nature of something, or like understanding physiology in scent, or survival, trying to track something by scent. So I think any one of those would be appropriate in this circumstance.
I think given my upbringing, survival would be appropriate, so I'll do that.
Okay. Okay. Not the worst roll. Any like particular scent of brain matter and flesh is covered up by this scent of earwax. What little earwax I would imagine a water genasi would have.
Clean
and a
your ears.
lingering scent of like salt water,
Okay.
like
Uh,
almost like a salty sweat that normally people would associate with the scent of, you know, perspiration. It's that, but it's more like an oceanic sweat. Like it's definitely more concentrated.
all right. Since we had just slept, I'll assume I'm not smelling much sweat on his body and kind of.
But it's hard for you to tell, like, if there's any sort of like scent of gray matter or a particular scent that you would get. It's kind of being masked by the scent of perspiration and just his particular scent in general.
All right, I'll keep that in the back of my mind that perhaps an oceanic salty smell is something associated to a brain.
As for you, Dazes, you're not sure if Floof just shared one of his kinks with you. You're really uncertain what's going on.
I release his head, and I don't explain myself.
I will say, after we leave this place, we need to have a conversation about personal space.
I don't respond.
Gamil just turns and looks and then looks away. Okay. Let us be on our way, friends. We will need to be careful as we leave the city. As I stated before, the guard will be changing shifts, so now is the most appropriate time to leave. But nevertheless, we should be careful. So if you have any means of masking our exit from the city, now would be the time.
Should we pull them out?
Time?
Are we up?
I wouldn't say that would be quite necessary. We may need those potions you bought later, but if just perhaps something to mask our leaving as best we can.
I'll ask everybody. Shall I take a shape?
Yeah, maybe. And I am quite stealthy. I'm wearing like an enhanced cloak for that as well. So maybe I just pull the hood up past my ears and really look. Splash some dirt on my face so I'm not as, translucent. Look more like a humanoid and less like a rat person.
I'm picking something. Give me a second.
Look, I feel okay just about my stealth. I don't think I'll.
Pardon me?
Oh, I said I feel okay about just like if we need to be stealthy.
Okay.
I think I'll be alright.
I'm going to turn into a poisonous snake and wrap myself around Dazes' arm.
Not around my neck.
Nah, come on.
You don't want to get a deeper ear sniff?
Maybe I'll just go in there and see.
I won't let you slide into my head.
Oh my
I
god.
remember your comments.
That's a bit
about
too
So
personal
many
skills.
innuendos this session.
Yeah.
Well, as you all begin your departure from the cellar exit back up to the bar above, Camille, Trash, Floof, and Dazes. Floof being around Dazes' neck like ye olde Justin Bieber. As you leave the bar, you can see that there's a small number of people in this area, most of which resemble the individuals you saw downstairs in the cellar of the handyman. Most are either nursing a hangover or still quite drunk and pay you no mind, but as you exit the space and begin heading towards the western edges of the city, you can already begin to tell that there are a small semblance of patrols throughout the city. Let's go ahead and get a party stealth check here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Nice.
I got a natural 20.
Nice. Floof, you can go ahead and roll with advantage since you're well,
snake.
yeah, you're essentially not yeah, you can go ahead and roll with advantage in this circumstance. Okay. Yeah, with that very capable, the natural and even Gamil rolled pretty well. So with his assistance, you all are able to pass without much effort between the various transitioning patrols, heading westward through the various streets, sticking to the shadows of some of the taller structures, moving with crowds of miners and refinement workers to and from their places of residence, kind of blending in with the crowd more so than even just sticking to the shadows in some areas, as it seems far less likely to draw any attention if you stick with the herd. Moving slowly but carefully through the western half of the city, you're able to exit through the far reaches of Tafar, where you see a number of caravans taking different pathways to the southwest, due west, and even to the northwestern edge. Most of the ones that you see are heading due west into the dunes. And you see Gamil look at you all. We should head that way as well. The location that we were observing is far deeper into the dunes. We should head that way and keep an eye out for this individual that that Heinrich had pointed out to us. I would imagine if we find them, we can find the source of this ailment and this espionage.
Understood.
As you all follow the caravans out, heading deeper and deeper into the dunes, you can see that there's definitely a well-worn path, at least for the majority of the time that you are heading outside the city. As the sun is beginning to rise and the temperature rising rapidly out into the dunes, you can see that the number of caravans are slowly splitting off to some of these sparse side roads, separate segments branching out in all directions to various mining locations, most of which you can see when you see the ones that are closer to the main caravan path are areas where there's heavy amounts of rock and not as much loose sand. You can definitely see that some of these bigger caravan wagons that are carrying materials and mining equipment, most of which are drawn by horses or large beasts of burden, like oxen and things of that nature. They have, you see on all of them, they have these strange sort of devices and implements attached to their legs and below their hooves that you can definitely tell is deadening their footfalls or their hoof falls, as if to minimize the vibration delivered into the ground as they walk. Especially, you can see even the ones that weren't wearing them before, as they draw closer to their final destinations and they get off of these main tracks of rocky and paved road, which at this point have all but disappeared. It is now just rocky, worn paths. They begin installing these deadening materials on the hooves, and you see some of the workers even are wearing like what looks like leather coverings on some of their boots as they step out into looser, rocky or sandy territory. And you can see that it is deadening the impact of their footfalls as they step out. And as you all are walking and, step away from some of the crowds, those are implements designed to limit the vibrations of the sand. As you've already seen, too much agitation will oftentimes call forth unwanted attention from entities that roam these areas. At worst, it could summon a large worm. If that happens, the likelihood of survival diminishes rapidly. So we must be careful when we get into some of the looser territories. Whereas the mesas were already dangerous, this is perhaps the most dangerous region in the entire eastern half of the continent. If we are attacked by a worm, then we have no choice but to run. And even then, that is not a good choice. The likelihood that the four of us could subdue one of them, and even if by some miracle we could, it would most certainly summon more. So I ask that you be extremely careful.
Get it easy, you're not even on the ground.
At this
I will take
point-
note of that and try to walk lightly.
Yeah. You can definitely see that, of your group here, Gamil's probably the most worried of the group, now that Floof is not in his normal form. Floof, how long does your wild shape last?
That's a really good question. I think it lasts. Let's see. I don't know if it says on here.
I think it's, I want to say it's 4 hours.
It's like a
I'll look.
Bible here, but I'm looking.
Wild
Let's see.
companion, wild shape. 3 hours.
3 hours.
You can stay in beast shape for 3 hours before
I
reverting back to your
see.
normal form.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I would say at this point in time, if you had remained in your wild shape this whole time, you would probably be coming to the end of that. So you would either need to continue in your normal form or change back and then burn another one to continue in this form. That is up to you. Because the remainder
Do you
of
have
this...
any sort of idea how much longer this journey is? Did we establish how long it would take us to reach the cave or whatever?
It will likely be the end of the morning, perhaps midday, before we reach the site of the attack. This was supposed to be a new deep vein of lunarium that they were intending to mine, that the prince was eager to see for himself at the time.
but as such, it is quite a bit further than the normal established mining tracks.
Okay, and we're past kind of people seeing us at this point, at least?
At this point, you're pretty much one of the last few groups still descending westward. And you can see that the main path is getting narrower and narrower and narrower, as almost like the sands are slowly enveloping the outer edges as you come to a point where you are just heading straight into loose sand.
Okay.
And you're probably maybe a mile away from the point where the path just ends into the dunes.
Okay. I'll slither off of Dazes and revert back to my regular form.
Okay.
I'll say could not hold any longer, so that my party knows.
Okay.
And I will also move as stealthily as I could.
Okay. As you continue to the very edge of the track of the dunes, or the mining path, if I can go ahead and get one last stealth check from the group.
Alright.
Uh-oh.
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 Oh boy. That 5. 12 for me.
As you all descend off the path, you can already begin to tell that the sands are loose, and it is difficult to walk. As such, you can feel yourself just naturally having to use more force to keep yourself balanced. But as you do this and you use more force, you feel your heels pressing hard into the loose sand. And as you're climbing up these dunes, you feel yourself losing balance, and a few times, Floof, yourself, and Gamil, both, and even yourself, Dazes, you feel yourself catching here and there and having to just stomp your foot down to catch yourself from either falling back down these nearly 20-foot dunes in some places at the edge of this track. And as you do so, you can just hear the boom as you step into the sand a few times before you feel that you haven't moved your foot, but you're feeling vibrations. Almost like sudden acute tremors that are coming from deeper west into the dunes. Acute tremors that are like and you can feel that the intermittent, the pattern of these, once either non-existent or very infrequent, is becoming less and less so as they grow. You can feel that they're getting closer, and as they get closer, they're getting stronger, and you can see the sand is almost vibrating like water and shifting. What are you all doing as this is happening?
I'm gonna suggest. I'm gonna say I feel enemies. We should run, and
somebody go ahead and roll me a d20. Just a straight d20.
I can do that.
Should you though? I'm kidding.
Somebody's got to.
Hey.
Okay.
The bad roll was the stealth. It's supposed to be a good roll this time around. Supposed to be.
from about 2 miles out, you can see as you crest the top of one of these large 20-foot or so dunes, as you look up, and you begin to feel these vibrations growing closer and closer. Before you see this cresting wave about 2 miles out, growing rapidly in your direction. Without a doubt, this entity, whatever's moving towards you, even at this distance, you can tell is massive. And it is moving towards you rapidly. What are you doing?
I say run. I to them, and I'm gonna cast an earth tremor behind us in the opposite direction that we're heading. As a hope to distract or divert them to the Ets instead of us.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a deception check with advantage.
Okay.
As you cast the earth tremor to one side, you can see initially that there's a subtle change to whatever creature is moving towards you all. But as you're moving in the opposite direction and you're all in this sort of... Whereas the tremor is sort of a localized, non-moving object, more powerful than your footfalls, the randomness and acuteness of your footfalls moving in the opposite direction suddenly detract from that deceptive vibration that you created. And although it initially had turned to face, you can see as you're running further and further away from it, it suddenly begins to change direction back towards you all. We should run now. We are very close, but we need to hurry. There is no doubt that has to be a worm. Run! And you can see Gamil is just at this point bolting full speed. What are you all doing?
Following. Yep.
Running
I'm
for my
here.
life.
Okay.
I know we're not like on a grid yet, but I will.
We're not
it
yet.
helps.
In fact, we're gonna make this a skill challenge. So
Okay.
we'll just we'll start with whoever would like to go. And basically, you need 3 successes before 2 failures. Otherwise, we will enter into initiative. So
Is there anything I
go.
can do to like help with the skill check? Like,
that's up
for
to
example,
you.
if
How
I
do you
was,
want to? How do you interpret a means of either deterring
okay.
what is following you or speeding yourself up? Anything you want to do, that is entirely up to you guys. How do you want to approach this situation?
Well, Dazes said he wanted to go first, so I'll let him go
Okay.
first, and then I have a thing that I think I can.
Sure.
You have a thing, you can go first, because I didn't have anything particular.
My
in
thing,
mind yet.
it doesn't unfortunately help the group, but it'll help me, kind of thing. So
Okay.
hopefully, but I can cast like Expeditious Retreat on myself.
Okay.
And it the spell generally during actual gameplay is like it allows me to move at incredible pace and cast
Right.
the spell as a bonus action. I can take the dash action, so
As a bonus action.
I'm hoping it just like helps me
Sure.
move.
It would give
much
you
faster than I
about
normally do.
Yeah, it would give you about 30 or a third more of your movement each turn.
Yeah.
Because if you dashed and used your bonus action, you would be moving 90 feet instead of 60, essentially,
Right.
every turn. So you all watch. We'll call that a success since you're using this to, one of your limited spell slots to cast this. As you watch Trash, rub her hand across her legs, you can see that she is just almost like skating across the sands as opposed to trying to run and trudge through them. Almost just utilizing her her natural form to just slide through the top surface of loose sand as opposed to the denser, thicker sand below. That seems to be inhibiting you all. That's one success. Who wants to go next?
Dazes, I suggest you go next.
I really still don't really have that much in particular in mind. What I was considering is maybe running in a slightly different direction.
Okay.
Just to like throw off the worm a bit.
Okay.
And maybe since I think I'm the fastest.
Yeah, you would probably be the fastest of the group.
I don't know which way it would chase though. If I'm the fastest, if they're going like a bit slower than me, it might be easier to catch them. So that's actually might backfire.
So you can see that Gamil is pointing in a particular direction, and at this distance, you can just barely see with your passive perception. There's an outcropping of rock that's quite a bit taller than some of the dunes. He's pointing directly at that, and it's probably at this point like a quarter mile off.
Okay. A quarter mile. Okay.
Yeah. You can see whatever this entity you assume is likely a worm moving towards you is about, at this point, about a mile and a half moving in your direction. Kind of at a 120 or 130 degree angle from your position, but making that angle between you, the outcropping that seems to be your destination, and your actual position. So it's kind of chasing you at an angle, but it's about it's about a mile and a half directly away from your position now, but it is moving rapidly through the ground. Like far faster than you seem to be moving on feet.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Like orders of magnitude faster.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, what are you doing?
That's not really change anything. You know what? Can I just run fast?
Okay, you're just gonna dash all out and try to...
Yeah.
Classic.
Love it.
Go ahead and give me if you're going to dash all out and try to dash all out for an extended period of time, go ahead and give me either an athletics or dexterity check, your choice.
Okay.
It's not really acrobatics, it's a dexterity check, or an athletics check, your choice.
I'm significantly better at one than the other.
Okay. So, yeah, go ahead and give me a check and see if you can sustain and keep your balance running at, like, just breakneck all-out speed without losing your balance or, maintaining this course and this speed. Yeah, without effort, your ability, almost like you're running across the surface of the waves at this point. With this speed, it's almost like instead of dipping down between the dunes, you are running and leaping from apex to apex of these dunes. Like as they crest up and down, it's almost like you're using your momentum to just lunge and run and jump and bounce off in this just sort of acrobatic motion, maintaining your momentum and almost kind of like it's faster for a car to drive over a bumpy road because the tires just kind of bounce along the top of the bumps. It's sort of like that sort of you're moving almost in a straight line because you're not dipping down between the dunes. That is 2 successes. Floof, we are on to you. What are you doing?
Oh, sorry, I was eating chips and was muted. I
That's why the worms got summoned. It's those damn potato chips, man.
know. And they're not even good. They're these bullshit protein chips, and they suck. I know. We need two successes. So like,
You have 2 now. You need 1 more. And you don't have any failures, so this could clinch it, or you could continue going through. Gamil
All right.
will also be rolling with his own sort of deal on the next one, but this
Okay.
could seal it if you want.
yeah,
Or if
I
you
will,
succeed, I should say.
Right. I will see that my comrades are more or less gliding across the sand, and my big stumpy legs aren't doing much for me. So I will take a wild shape into a desert. Let's see. I got a couple options here. I will turn into a hyena and use
Okay.
that to lighten my load, if you will, and attempt to keep up with the rest of the group that is running ahead of me.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an athletics or acrobatics check with the hyena's modifiers, and you can do so with an advantage.
Okay. Let's see. What were my 2 options?
Acrobatics or athletics. Acrobatics would be more like you're sort of following Dazes' lead, leaping from apex to apex of these dunes, as opposed to like dipping down. Athletics would be like running between the dunes and kind of going longer trails, but running much faster with the hyena's abilities.
Okay.
But you do have advantage, whichever you choose. It's just up to you whether or not you use acrobatics or athletics of the hyena.
All right. I will go with the acrobatics. And I'm gonna roll with the advantage. Just subtract 1, just because it's easier for me.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Wow. Sad advantage.
Yeah.
Oh. As you're running, even with this new form, it is like these dunes are densely packed together as you are trying to leap from end to end. You find yourself just sinking down and sliding and losing momentum as you're doing this. That is 1 failure. As this is happening, you watch as Gamil runs up beside you and attempts to try to help you up. And as he's doing this, you see that semi-corporeal form of his shadow, his echo, appear at the top of the dunes. And he, as he's doing this, you can see he pulls out a rope and slings it up to his echo, leaving you a rope to sort of climb some of these larger dunes. And you watch, he's changing places. Just at one point, you're standing next to the fully corporeal Gamil, the next, his echo, and then you see he's leapfrogging back and forth between the two, teleporting and exchanging the two, but leaving as much of his rope as he can as he does this. So he's gonna roll. Okay. So, as he does this, Floof, you are able to bite onto this rope, and as he gets over one of these larger dunes that you would have struggled to leap over, you see at one point he was standing directly beside you at the end of this rope before using his momentum just as the echo jumps and leaps off the deal with the end of the rope. He suddenly changes places, and all of his weight he drags down the end of a dune, and as you're biting down on this rope, slings you as you try to hold on to the end of this rope as it's pulling you with his weight as he's sliding down towards these rocks. Trash and Dazes, you've already reached this rocky outcropping, and you can see there's a what looks like a chiseled tunnel leading down into these rocks, and you see Gamil just like come. At first, it's just his shadowy echo before poof, you suddenly see it become corporeal, and Gamil's just like, ah! As he runs, and this rope is hanging in his hands, and he's trying to like whip it over his shoulder. Floof, go ahead and give me a one more athletics check with advantage. In this case, as you try to hold on and bite onto this rope with the hyena's teeth.
Oh.
As he tries to sling you up over the top of the dune. Yeah, and you are, although it's difficult, you just feel this rope kind of rip you over the top of this dune as it just slings you at full ass over tea kettle over the top of this dune. It is not a graceful tumble as you start rolling down towards the rocks, but you can see at this point, as you all are rushing to get to the entrance of the mouth of this rocky outcropping, you can see just over the backside of this dune this huge open maw of teeth and these purple, scalish, fleshy, tubular form comes sailing over the top of that dune as the body of this worm, probably nearly 50 or 60 meters long and nearly 10 meters wide, comes jettisoning over the top of this dune. Get inside! Get inside! But that is a success.
Nice.
You guys did manage to get to the entrance before the worm was able to overtake you as you scramble into the mouth of this cave as this wave of sand collapses over the top of it behind you, just blacking out the sun as it's cresting over the top of your backs.
Ooh, we did die.
We did it.
As you all rush into the cave mouth as this wave of sand comes in behind you, Floof in your hyena form, coughing up a bit of sand as you spit out the tarnished, like, threadbare pieces of the rope from between your teeth. You can see Gamil is extremely winded from that ordeal, having burned a lot of his well, no, he would only need to burn the one, but because he can teleport, on a turn-by-turn basis here. So we're not really an initiative, otherwise that would have been more labored, I guess, or slow. But in this case, we're kind of operating theater of the mind style. But you can see at this point, having gotten too far away from his echo, it's all but vanished at this point, as he's sitting there breathing hard beside you all before...
That was more than I expected. That was quite a large specimen. I have not seen one like that in many years. But we are on the right track here.
But you can see that as you've entered this tunnel now, you can see that they're not unlike the moorings and rafters that you saw in that cellar that you were staying the night before. There are definitely man-made supports in this tunnel as they kind of otherwise support this crudely carved out about 20-foot wide tunnel that's descending deeper and deeper into the earth below you at not a steep incline, but a fairly aggressive one, going deeper down to the point where beyond about 60 or 70 feet, it is just pitch black at this point. But at this point, you have reached your initial destination of the mines where Gamil and the prince were attacked. It is, although the sky or the sun is high in the sky outside, as you go deeper down into this area, the temperature drops rapidly to a noticeable amount. It is quite a bit cooler here, without direct contact from the sun. But as you descend downward into the dark abyss of these mines, we're going to go ahead and end there for tonight.